You've heard the statistic everywhere. In the United States, nearly 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. At first glance, the story sounds simple. Men are the problem. They're distant, unfaithful, emotionally unavailable. But what if that's not the whole truth? What if the real reason runs much deeper beneath culture, beneath gender politics, down to human biology, shifting economics, and emotional survival? This is the uncomfortable truth about divorce that few people are willing to face. Welcome to Divorce Blueprint, where we strip away the noise and talk about the real dynamics behind modern relationships. If you're going through a separation, recovering from one, or trying to prevent one, this might be the most important perspective you'll ever hear. The hidden truth. According to long-term research from Stanford University, around 70% of all divorces are initiated by women, and that number climbs even higher among college-educated women. But the real question isn't who files, it's why. Why are so many women walking away from marriages that, on paper, look stable? Why, despite more comfort, technology, and opportunity than any generation before us, are relationships collapsing faster than ever? To answer that, we need to look at three powerful forces quietly shaping the modern marriage: biology, economics, and emotional breakdown. Reason 1, the biological blueprint. Let's begin with the one we can't rewrite: biology. For most of human history, a woman's survival and the survival of her children depended on the quality of her mate. A wrong choice could mean hunger, vulnerability, or extinction. That evolutionary pressure shaped deep instincts that still influence attraction today. Even now, women are unconsciously drawn to three primary traits in a man. 1, kindness, the ability to show empathy, care, and emotional warmth. 2, intelligence, not academic but adaptive, the ability to solve problems, think quickly, and stay calm under pressure. Humor often signals this. 3, future security, not wealth itself, but potential. Ambition, competence, and the ability to create stability. These instincts aren't superficial. They're survival mechanisms that were once the difference between life and death. And they haven't vanished just because we live in cities with Wi-Fi and grocery stores. So when a man stops growing, loses ambition, or becomes emotionally detached, those ancient survival alarms go off. She doesn't just feel unsafe, her biology interprets it as a threat to her future and her children's well-being. That instinctual shift, though invisible, is often the first crack in the foundation. Reason 2, the economic collision. Now let's collide biology with modern reality. Over the past 50 years, women's economic power has exploded, and rightly so. Women now earn degrees at higher rates than men, dominate many professional fields, and increasingly own property, businesses, and investments. It's one of humanity's greatest achievements. But evolution doesn't move as fast as society. Women still tend to seek partners at or above their socioeconomic level, while men historically have sought partners at or below theirs. So as women rise, the pool of qualified partners, men who are emotionally stable, financially reliable, and equally ambitious, is shrinking. Meanwhile, men face their own crisis. Many are falling behind academically, socially, and economically. Boys mature neurologically slower than girls, and an entire generation is growing up without strong male role models. When you combine that with rising loneliness and job instability, you get what sociologists call the viability gap. Fewer men ready or capable of sustaining long-term, emotionally mature partnerships. And here's the paradox. As women become more capable of leaving a bad relationship, the incentive to stay in a stagnant or unfulfilling one naturally declines. Freedom changes the equation. What used to be endure and survive has become adapt and evolve. That's why economic progress, while empowering, has also made divorce more common. If you're finding this breakdown eye-opening, hit the like button. It helps more people see content that goes beyond cliches and dives into the psychology behind relationships. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Divorce Blueprint, where we unpack the real emotional and social forces behind modern love, marriage, and heartbreak. Now let's look at the final and most personal reason. Reason 3, the breaking point. Contrary to what most people think, affairs and betrayal aren't the top reasons for divorce filings. According to data from family law researchers and divorce attorneys, the most common trigger is something more subtle, but far more devastating: a collapse of security. It happens when the man loses his sense of direction, when he stops providing emotional or financial stability, when the relationship stops feeling safe. Financial pressure, job loss, addiction, or even emotional burnout, all of these weaken the relationship's immune system. Every small frustration, every unresolved conflict suddenly becomes unbearable. The couple stops fighting for each other and starts fighting to survive inside the same house. Love turns into endurance, affection turns into obligation, and silence becomes safer than truth. When that core sense of safety disappears, love, no matter how deep, often isn't enough to hold it together. Because love can't grow where trust has died, and security can't exist where both people feel alone. For many women, filing for divorce isn't an act of anger. It's an act of self-preservation, a painful decision made when the emotional and practical structure beneath them has completely collapsed. It's the moment when she stops asking, "How can we fix this?" and quietly starts asking, "How do I survive this?" It's not that she stopped loving him. It's that she no longer feels safe loving him. The version of him she once admired, stable, grounded, confident, may have disappeared under the weight of stress, depression, or disappointment. And the version of herself that once believed love could fix everything is now exhausted from trying. When that happens, the home turns into a battlefield of unspoken fears. One person withdraws, the other overcompensates, and both start keeping score of who hurts less. Divorce becomes the final way to stop bleeding from invisible wounds. But this story isn't hopeless. In fact, understanding it gives us the blueprint to fix it. Path forward. We can't rebuild relationships on nostalgia or blame. We need a new definition of partnership, one that acknowledges biology, adapts to modern economics, and restores emotional safety on both sides. For men, that means redefining strength. It's not about domination, stoicism, or emotional silence. It's about stability, direction, and emotional maturity. A strong man today is not the one who hides his pain, it's the one who takes responsibility for healing it. He is grounded but growing, reliable but emotionally aware. He plans for the future, not out of fear, but out of clarity. Because stability isn't built in a moment, it's built in habits, discipline, and consistency. For women, it's about communication and collaboration, not just expressing needs, but allowing space for men to rebuild confidence without shame. It's about understanding that partnership isn't a competition of power, but a synchronization of strengths. Modern relationships thrive when both partners respect each other's vulnerabilities and create a safe space for rebuilding, not perfection, but progress. And for both, it means accepting a hard truth. Love isn't just chemistry. It's commitment, alignment, and shared growth. It's about showing up when it's hard, not just when it's romantic. It's about replacing ego with empathy and replacing assumptions with honest dialogue. When couples stop treating love like a feeling to chase and start treating it like a structure to maintain, everything changes. Because love doesn't disappear overnight. It decays slowly through neglect. And the antidote to that decay is daily effort. Small check-ins, shared goals, genuine gratitude. The new blueprint. The truth is, divorce isn't always about villains and victims. It's about systems colliding, ancient instincts meeting a modern world. Our biology still speaks the language of survival, while our society demands the language of equality. And when those two collide without awareness, confusion becomes resentment, and resentment becomes separation. But when we stop seeing divorce as a failure and start viewing it as feedback, we can finally learn from it. Feedback that tells us where our expectations were unrealistic. Feedback that shows us where communication broke down. Feedback that reminds us that even love needs maintenance. We can build better relationships, ones based not just on love, but on mutual understanding, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. Because marriage was never meant to be a perfect fairy tale. It was meant to be a lifelong workshop. If this video gave you a new perspective, like it. It tells YouTube this message matters. Subscribe to Divorce Blueprint for more deep, honest conversations about divorce. And if you know someone silently struggling, someone who feels like they're losing their marriage one quiet evening at a time, share this with them. It might be the perspective that saves their relationship or helps them heal after losing one. Because the real blueprint to surviving divorce isn't found in court documents or advice columns. It's found in understanding why it happens in the first place. And once you understand that, you stop repeating the same pain and start rebuilding from wisdom.